Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, January 6, 2026. I'm Don Swanker, and I'm going to call the Jackson County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. To my left, supervisors are Mike Steinis and Lynn Flagel. We got Bjorn from IT, Lisa from the auditor's office, Luann in the back, our executive assistant. And first up on our agenda is visitors and citizens. Is there anybody online or in the gallery who'd like to talk to the board that's not listed on the agenda?
Okay.
Brittany, can you hear us? She can't hear anything. Stand by.
Hey guys, I can't. Oh, there we go. I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now?
Yep.
All right, we're good to go. You want to, next, first up, we got Jaden Shekel from County Engineer's Office. Good morning.
Morning. First thing is to set dates for a couple of few public hearings, actually. The first one is for our bridge replacement project on 458th Avenue. Since this will be a locally led project, we have to have a public hearing on the plans and specs. So I intend to have a letting date tentatively of February 26th. So I'd like to have a public hearing held on the plans and specs on February 10th or somewhere in that time frame anyway, to at least, because that would allow for at least 2 weeks then, because once the plans and specs, after that public hearing, assuming they get approved, I would then release the stuff for bid. So by having it on the 10th, that would allow for like at least 2 weeks for bidders.
Okay.
Bidding. So I guess I don't know.
Is that sufficient?
For this,
Okay.
it is, yes.
I'd make a motion to set the public hearing for February 10th at 9 a.m.
I would second that.
We got a motion by Mike, second by Nen to set the public hearing for bridge replacement project LFM VB 2253-7X49 for February 10th, 2026 at 9 a.m. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Next is for our bridge replacement on 17th Street, since this is also locally let, we do them at the same time. So recommend to have a public hearing on February 10th at 9:10, just to give, if there were anybody, 10 minutes to allow if anybody would have questions on the plans and specs, I guess, on the first project. So
Can we go 9:05, because we really can't start the public hearing before 9:10. Usually,
Yeah, I mean,
hearings don't last more than a minute, so.
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with 9:05, because I mean, it's just standard bridge project.
Okay.
If anybody were to have questions, we could surely answer them within 5
I mean, I
minutes.
don't want to sit here for 10 minutes, but.
No, I agree.
Not a problem, but it's, honestly,
Yeah.
we can't start it until 9:10 if you set it.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for this bridge project with 9:10 on February 9:05 on February 10th.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nen, second by Mike to set a public hearing for bridge replacement project LFM IA 3320-7X49 for the 17th Street Bridge for February 10th, 2026 at 9:05 a.m. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
As it relates to bridge, I did update your map.
Nice. I can read it.
That was something you guys asked of me, so I wanted to do that because honestly, it reduced the weight postings that were on your previous map were much higher. There's more bridges posted than what's on this map, so we're making progress. So
Thank
at
you.
least gives it more of an accurate
Depiction.
yes, of where we're currently at. And some of them restrictions aren't just weight, they're either height restrictions or maybe width restrictions as well. It's not all weight posted or weight restriction, but either way, it's all restrictions.
Okay.
Thank you.
So next is to set a date for public hearing for our fiscal year 27 5-year program. We typically do this in February. That's when we did it last year. And based on the last 2 years of attendance, it's been low, or last year was nobody at all. So I guess I wanted to get your thoughts on, do you still want to do a night meeting for the public hearing, or would you want to do it on a Tuesday after the general board meeting for an hour? And we would have all the documents, like the maps, the project listings, all that available on our county website and in our office for the public, but just wanted, I guess. We'll set the date for public hearing, but also discussion from you all on what you would prefer.
Yes.
I'm okay with the daytime ones, because I think the only reason we've had some large attendance during this is people trying to get certain projects added or changed or whatever. And as of now, I don't know if we have any of those anticipated projects arising.
I think a lot of that is in the past, you know,
Yeah.
as far as personnel or whatever you want to call it. So I think that's all in the past, but again, when do we, what part of February do we normally have it?
Usually it was towards the middle or end.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we do got time. You think we could wait a week or so to get public perception if they hear about this, or if Brittany puts it in the paper or something, that we might have it during the day and we have a
I mean, my,
fallout, says, what the hell, I can't get there during the middle of the day.
my only concern with during the day is you do definitely limit your people that may want to attend or could attend versus doing an evening.
I guess
I don't have a problem with doing it during the day, I really don't, because I just, like I said, the last couple of years.
And in the public hearing, attendance is not required. They can email you, they can email us, they can drop things off, you know, they can email the board of supervisors. I mean, they can get a hold of us if they have any contention or have any comments or whatever that could be brought up, so.
yeah, and after the public hearing, it's not like the 5-year program is also approved, because it's got to then be, I got to send it to the DOT. And they have to approve it prior to bringing back to you all for final approval, so. Public hearing is just a time for us to tell the public what our plans are, which for the most part is just moving projects up. Yeah, there's no plans for paving new roads, because we have enough problem trying to rehab the ones we currently have and this and that, so. I just curious what your thoughts are. I mean, obviously I'll do whatever you want me to do, but just wanted to get your thoughts.
So my thought is that we wait a week to set that.
Okay.
See if we get response. You know, if we don't hear from anybody, nobody really cares. If they don't listen to each meeting, they ain't gonna. I mean, we can put it on the radio. We're discussing having a public hearing for the 5-year road program right after our regular business meeting. And see if we get any response at all. Give them the option, So can we just table it then, or just not do anything?
Yeah,
Not do anything.
There'd be no action then.
Right,
Get the last thing.
that's just my thought, I don't care what you guys want.
No, I think if there's any, just to get the word out, to get people knowing about the public hearing and all that stuff, if anything, make it for 6 o'clock that night. I hope.
Yeah, I mean, they can always call us with issues, doesn't matter, I mean, you're here all the time, the engineer's office, and I get a lot of calls and I turn them over, so. I mean, it's not something that we don't address throughout the year. So a 5-year, basically, is what we have on the books that we're going to do.
And
I
it
mean,
was
that's
been-
hard, and that's hard to change unless, of course, a bridge falls in the creek and then we change things.
Yeah, and as far as roads.
Shush, we don't.
Yeah, no,
We gotta get it open
Which
first.
happened, which it wasn't even posted, by the way.
and we'd like to do more road projects, but it takes a lot of money and funds are obviously limited and it's just, can only do so much with the
Money's
funds, so.
always good. We have a plan, and by code, we have to have a plan.
Mhm.
So to change that plan, again, is a process. Not like we're hiding something.
And I'd like to say, I'd like to believe that bridges are a lot more simplified, because, you know, we have Iron Bridge coming up. That's a huge commitment from our county, so that kind of sets. Bridges are kind of set. Roads, you can kind of adjust which ones in the program depending on pavement condition, but even in that sense, they're sort of set, 'cause we're starting to base it more on pavement condition rather than just, when was the road?
Done last.
Yeah.
If it's holding up versus one that isn't.
Yeah, basing it more on true condition of the pavement, so.
So are we gonna take no action on this? We gonna take, set it at 11 on the 17th or 6 o'clock, or what are we doing?
Are we still discussing the 5-year road program?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought, I give my opinion that we should wait a week and then.
Okay.
I'm fine with waiting a week to see if we get any feedback.
We're doing no.
All right, item 4.
That is, next up is our 2026 build grant, so this, used to be called Raise, change of administration, now it's called Build Grant. And this is for the 395th Avenue roadway rehab. This is the 28E agreement amongst the 5 counties and the Iowa County Engineers Association. And then also there's a resolution for a letter of support, which is basically each county has their board give a letter of recommendation. So that's what this resolution acts as to go to the application. So the first thing is the 28E agreement, which
You want them separate?
I mean, they're all
Yeah.
kind of one and the same, but yes, I
Yeah.
guess probably for Lisa's purpose, probably.
I would
better.
make a motion to go ahead with the bill grant for 398th Avenue 28E interagency agreement.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nin. To approve the 2080 interagency agreement for the 395th Avenue intersection bill grant application. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
It includes the whole project, correct? Not just the intersection.
Correct, the whole thing from Highway 52 all the way up to where the pavement starts by the Bellevue Golf Course.
Right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And
Then we're looking for a resolution for the letter of support.
Motion to approve resolution 1160-01-06-2026.
Second,
Got a motion by Nin, second by Mike to approve resolution 1160 01 06 2026 in support of the joint build grant agreement and letter of support for the bill grant for the 395th Avenue construction project. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Motion carries.
And next week, I anticipate the same thing for Build Grant as it relates to Iron Bridge. So I haven't been sent those documents yet, but that'll be coming. Just brief update. Moorhead Bridge, the final design repair detail we'll have today. So then we'll give that to Dan for him to finish up the repair and hopefully get that thing open soon. Kenilworth is still planned for the 12th, yes. So looking forward to that started. It'd be a long process, but get it started.
All right. Anything else for Jaden?
Yeah, it don't really pertain to you, but one of our shops is at the Bellevue shop is located where the recycle bin is. And I understand over the holidays that there was a lot of recycle, but please, people, don't just set it outside and set it on the ground. It blows all over and it's in everybody's, it's all over the place, you know? They dump it every week. We've checked it, we've looked at it, we've dissected it. If we could get 2 weeks, you can't just get another dump a month. That just don't rotate right, you know? And we're trying to make the best out of the best here. So please just don't throw it on the ground and expect somebody else to pick it up for you. It was a mess this week and understand that they come every Tuesday. So if you're gonna go out there and dump it on Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning. And if you're from the city, please use the city recycles. They have bins and they agreed with us to put bins down by the city work shed. So please use them. So, I mean, it helps everyone concerned. And if there ain't room, throw it in the garbage, you know, it just ain't worth picking it up. Sorry.
And I did receive a complaint, people talking about traffic in their ditch along their, you know. I just want to put out to everybody, remember, when we got the snows, you brought up a good point when I told you about it, is when we got the big snows, ground wasn't frozen. Usually at this point in time in the year, the ground is frozen, it picks up a lot less gravel. Soft ground underneath, a lot of snow, heavy blades, it picks up a lot more gravel and gets it. So if you don't want gravel in your ditch, we can leave it on the road, but then that also includes the 12 inches of snow and so we got. So it was just a bad situation. We'll do our best. We understand it makes for an inconvenience, but it's just kind of timing and the conditions during that time. So it was duly noted. I will reply to the individual, but it is what it is right now. I'll say gravel roads are amazing. I drove them and like I told you, I think the gravel roads are actually smoother right now than the paved roads because the joints in the paved roads kind of buckle a little bit when they freeze and it gives it kind of a bouncing feeling or whatever. The gravel roads seem to be a lot smoother than that. So hats
think
off to
that's
the
a
work
GM.
they're doing this winter.
I think that's a GMC you're driving there.
I know they write.
Yeah, I'm sure in a few months it'll probably change.
Right. So
Hey, hats off to your crew. They're doing an extra job. I haven't heard any complaints.
anything else for Jaden? Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Next up, we got Becky from Human Resources. Come on down.
Good morning.
Just a couple things for you today. So Amy Williams has been a deputy in the recorder's office who served under elected official Arlene Shaw, who has retired. You recently appointed Jennifer Jones as recorder. She accordingly has issued a certificate of appointment for Amy Williams to serve as a deputy under her. So I would ask for a motion to approve the certificate of appointment for Amy Williams as first deputy effective January 1, 2026 through January 1, 2027, which is the remainder of that report. Or an authorized chair to sign, sorry.
I would make that motion.
I would second.
We got a motion by Nin, second by Mike to approve the certificate of appointment for Amy Williams effective January 1st, 2026 to January 1st, 2027. The remainder of the recorder term. Any other discussion?
Could you explain briefly what certificate appointment just actually means?
So by law, this actually means they are entitled to serve in the same capacity as the elected official.
Thank you.
So it means parallel to the elected official in the absence. Yep.
All those in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And then we received a resignation notice from one of our part-time corrections officers. So I would ask for a motion to accept the resignation from Molly Haran effective December 19th of 2025.
So moved.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nin to accept the resignation letter of Corrections Officer Molly Haran effective December 19th, 2025. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Next up. Lisa.
Good morning. I need you to approve the minutes from the December 30th, 2025 and January 2nd, 2026 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and authorized publication in the official newspaper.
I'd make that motion.
I would second.
Got a motion by Nin, second by Mike to approve the December 30th, 2025 and the January 2nd, 2026 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith, authorized publication in the official newspapers. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Need a motion to accept and place on file and authorize chair and auditor signatures on the county recorder's report of fees collected for the month of December 2025 in the amount of $46,271.05.
I would move to approve.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nin to accept, place on file and authorize chair and auditor signatures on the county recorder's report of fees collected in the month of December 2025 in the amount of $46,271.05. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So that I have for the board today. Thank you.
All right, Luann, we're on a roll. Keep it going.
There I am.
Here.
Okay. Calendar for this week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, January 7th at 4:30. I tentatively have a Wednesdays are possible meeting over at Innovate 120. At 6 o'clock tomorrow night is a E911 service board meeting for Mike. On Thursday, January 8th at 9 a.m., we're having a budget work session for all of you. I think we scheduled that until noon. There's also a 10 o'clock Mississippi Valley Workforce Business Committee meeting by Zoom for Don. And at 11 o'clock, there's a Jackson County Area Tourism Association meeting by Zoom for any of you. Monday, January 12th at 7:30 a.m. is an Early Childhood Iowa Executive Committee meeting by Zoom for NIN. And our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, January 13th at 9 a.m. That afternoon at 3:30, I tentatively have a Mahoka River Watershed Management Authority Executive Committee meeting by Zoom for Don. And that night at 6 o'clock will be the conference board meeting to discuss the budget downstairs in the community room for all of you. We have bad weather that night. I think the alternate date is Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. Leftover business from last week, we talked about designating the official 2026 newspapers. And there was discussion on that. We had questions, so we still need to make that designation.
So we did talk about originally last Tuesday about designating the largest circulation for our primary paper. We did talk to our county attorney. They said that per the law, as we read down through it, that we cannot do that. So I will make a motion to designate the 3 papers that have put in for it, which I believe was Macocata Sentinel Press, the Bellevue Herald, and the Preston Times as our primary newspapers.
I would second.
Got a motion by Ned, second by Mike to approve the 3 newspapers in Jackson County, the Macocata Sentinel Press, Bellevue Herald, and the Preston Times.
Yes.
Yes.
As official newspapers. Any other discussion? I do believe this is something that we should talk to our legislatures about, because between 15 and 50,000, it seems there's a gap where we have to advertise at a minimum of 3, as where other larger and smaller communities don't. If they don't have a newspaper in their county, they don't have to. It seems like we're penalized, it costs a lot of money for publications, things like that throughout the year. So that's something we should talk to our legislators about to see if we could trim that a little bit, or at least.
There's a very fine line between, like you said, 15,000 population to 50,000, and it just, to spend $7,500,000 a year on publications. We hope people read it, and that's why we put it there. But it's posted, it's online, it's all available. So,
because arguably the newspaper with the largest circulation in Jackson County is in Dubuque County. It's a Telegraph Herald. So if we were to pick one newspaper, that might be the one it is for circulation reaching. So it is what it is. This is what we have to do to follow the law. So any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Also in some business that was tabled last week, we still need an appointment to the Jackson County Conservation Board for one person to expire in 12/31 of 2030. But you hadn't decided who you were going to appoint.
so I had a chance to review applications and look over in conversations. I would actually make a motion to appoint Kyle Bales with his background, history, and such to the Jackson County Conservation Board.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve Kyle Bales as for a position on the Conservation Board with a term expiring December 31st, 2030. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We also need to meet the appointments to the Eminent Domain Commission for 2026. Last year, we had 26 people on that list. 2 of them declined to be reappointed. So now we have, the other 24 agreed to be reappointed. So you have a list of those 24, and I'm looking to reappoint all of them just from the list.
Have they been contacted?
They've all been, yes, I had back
Okay.
in early December.
And there are certain designations apply to that board, what you have to belong to, or who you represent. So can you tell me who we're missing and what representation?
Bailey
I mean-
Croft is one that
So
declined.
was it a realtor you're talking about?
I believe
Okay,
she's a
so that's one person, if there's a realtor out there.
Right, and the other person who declined was Lisa Schiffer. And
So a
I believe
banker?
Banker.
So
Correct.
if there's any bankers out there, now
Yeah.
eminent domain, again, don't come up a lot, but it does. And it's important, and we appreciate it if people volunteer to do that, or to be on a board and to sit and listen logically and make common sense decisions. So again, otherwise I would make a motion to appoint the 24 that's on the list that has agreed to their positions.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nan to approve the presented eminent domain commission board for 2026 as listed. I don't want to call out all 24. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And again, if there's a real estate broker or a banker out there looking to get active in your community. We do have positions for one of each.
And you don't have to be a broker, I don't believe, there's a salesperson who will
Okay.
give advice.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right,
Thank you.
moving on. We have Josh Bolt with City Macokota. And Karen, are you here for?
No.
You just here?
Listening.
Oh, good. Welcome.
Good morning.
Josh Bolt, Mayor, representatives in the back. Mark, how you doing? All right. You ready?
Yeah,
So,
well, let me start by fast. And,
it's all the same thing.
yeah, it's just got my notes on it from what went into that agreement.
It's just a lot of papers here, so.
Yep. Well, this isn't the absolute worst thing I could propose to you. I could think of how the airport could be Jackson County's regional airport. It's got a great tone to it, in my opinion, so.
We
In
can
any
give you
case-
Prairie Creek too.
Yeah. Well, I think there's South Main Street you'd love to give us too,
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
Obviously, we had a finance and personnel council committee meeting in November. Cities came together, took a look at some figures based on the bigger sheet I just gave to you about 2024 value data versus what it'd be per capita versus what the tax would be on small cities and who picks up what. And so I used that data sheet to come up with this smaller page you're looking at. The per capita only got nixed among the cities.
just all of them said no, or?
I mean, Bellevue's manager led the discussion on nixing this. Just didn't feel it was in the best interest of Bellevue. And that's kind of where that left off. I mean, the goal of that meeting was to come out with an agreement that every city could adopt. And so, okay. You know, here we are with 2 out of 3. Pretty much figure 1 was a toss away in the first place, but I tried making it attractive, which I don't think, we're still at a stuck point of how to make this work. And then I took per capita and per valuation and gave them each like 50% weight into who pays what. And that's how that option B came to you. So Miles and Spragueville were underneath Preston's obligation. If this were to pass at some point, Preston has asked that I go to Spragueville and Miles to talk about a revised contract for them. And option B hopes for, assumes a county employee transfer at some point in the future. I don't know if that would ever occur. No agreement is totally indefinite. That's the legal advice we've been given. And, I told this to the cities when we met as a group talking about this, that I don't necessarily believe the city is in full alignment with the others about this just having to go to a county department, or, I think it's our preference to keep the service continuity. The employees like being city employees, not that they wouldn't with county employees, it's just an unknown. I told you last time that I played what ifs all day with the group and said, what if Chief Simon is there someday and we have some chief from the outside that doesn't know anything about dispatch services or tries flexing the management power over for the people? That can be a difficult scenario. So, they understood, where we're at as a business and a leveraged position as a city trying to come up with something. I guess at this point, the ask was to come to an agreement, and yes, all those happened over open meetings. Thank you, Lisa, for putting discussion on the agenda. I'm not here expecting you to say I want option A or option B today. we're at a point in January where, I think I talked to Lisa 2 months ago when this kind of got rolling again. She knew this probably wasn't passable right away for the budget coming up, but boy, that sure surprised us. But we're at a point as a city where we have to kind of mail out the mailings we did, like we just did last year, as if there's no change. And what ends up going into that is we're gonna have to decide what our budget is. Our director, Bob Lane's retiring so far as we know in March of 2027. We have to start hiring a replacement. We already hired a replacement for one that was leaving in a planned retirement. So there's lots of management things that we've continued to go through. But I would tell you from the city's position, just like we talked about before, we desperately want an agreement, need an agreement. How we get there seems to be impossibly difficult at times. And if you have comments or questions, maybe we can start there, but we ought to be continuing to meet, or if it's meeting once a week as a designated committee over the next fiscal year to get where we need to be. When I talked to the cities, they all understood that this may not pass and you have the final selection of which funding model and management model you would want in the future. So with that, I guess I'll start answering questions or my opinion or mayor's opinion on what we do at the city with this.
Well,
Go ahead, Don.
well, I was gonna say, when we had the meeting in December, my impression, and I asked the supervisors, it seemed like our impression was y'all wanted to be done with it. Just like Josh Collister's impression in that meeting was, we wanted nothing to do with it. Because we are not, this is not something we are actively pursuing just for the public stuff. We are not thinking this is something we need. This is an ask. You guys are trying to shore up your finances because of guarantees. You can't spend other cities' money. I get that. They are under no obligation to pay for that without some said 2080 agreement. But so you're saying the city doesn't necessarily want to give it up or have to give it up, or
we're giving that option to you, but in my management memo here, I said our preference is to have option A and keep them as city employees.
I also heard at one time that they wanted to move it out of there. They would expect to move it out of that building. So I can't see the common sense in the fact that if I'm gonna move it 30 feet for $1 million to $2 million, what am I fixing? I mean, I'm a full believer in preventive maintenance, but I'm not a believer in fixing something that ain't broke. I don't know how I can justify taxing someone to move that 30 feet when it's there, it's operating functionally.
Yeah, I think the financially prudent thing to do is to keep it there and to have in a lease agreement. That's a mayor, council, and manager decision. From what we hear from the building is what happens if you're the Macokota police chief or the dispatch director, and maybe it's a space problem, like I'm using a lunch space inappropriately outside the room, or some sort of management concern, or directive orders are not being followed. Then you get into, okay, now we're in the contained space together, and who reports to who on Saturday at 2 a.m. I think that's kind of the unknown question mark with that statement.
Again, it seems like we're digging up something that ain't there. It's been there for 30 years.
100% agree.
Yeah, right. I have a lot of different things underlined in that agreement. So is this completely separate from the 911 board for the equipment, correct? So this does not take that away,
It does
correct?
not.
So a Law Center Emergency Communications Board, that's what it establishes.
Yeah.
Be empowered to advise the city of Macokota.
I asked our police chief and our city attorney, what is your interpretation of what this advisory communications board does? I have not received a good answer, frankly. It says something to the effect of shall establish bylaws, but I can't get a straight answer now on what our communications board of 20 or 30 years has done, except for raise this issue. They didn't meet. They don't know what their role or authority is. So I'm having a tough time explaining what that role and authority is in an agreement at this point without them having some leadership into what those bylaws would be and what influence they have over the managing agency in this agreement. So, I would say that's pretty well up to interpretation of what language you want to put in there.
Well, there's a lot of things up for interpretation in here. Shall initially be, well, initially, how long is initially?
One of my main concerns is there was two ideas of how to do this. One being each community pays a proportion, whether it be A or B. And the other one being, it just becomes a county tax where it taxes everybody across the board. I get a little defensive, as I'm sure every city manager would, or every mayor would, when you start having somebody else spending taxpayer dollars. I wouldn't want to spend Macokota taxpayer dollars as a county supervisor, just like I shouldn't let you spend county dollars. So I get a little concerned with if we pass this, a countywide levy to pay for this, it's the quickest, the easiest fix, but that's where it becomes a county service. And that's where the transition takes place, and we have to take over. We have those issues. If we do it like this, honestly, the fact that the reason I presented per capita at that meeting in December, like I told you this morning when you called, I was like, houses don't call 911. People do. So to divvy up the money per capita is more apples to apples in my brain. That's who's using it, because that's what it boils down to. That's how the initial percentages were divvied up. It's who's using 911 dispatch. That's how Sebula ended up paying more. Bellevue ended up paying less. That's why I came up with those numbers. I understand completely. If I say Macokota, I think you had 31% of the population in Jackson County, so you get 31% of the $606,000. It still boils down to evaluations, but it's more applicable per community. I get a little nervous thinking that one community can say, no, I don't like that, and it gets thrown away, because that tells me all the other cities bought off on that. And so that committee that you have here, and this could be a cynical viewpoint, and it could be on my only viewpoint, but that also tells me on that committee of how many people, 6 or 7, the county has 2 votes, so will always be outvoted if the cities are all kind of walking in lockstep, which means they spend our money. And if we're footing most of the bill, a voice should be had that represents most of the finances. Because one of them, it's a significant, both of them are significant increase for the county. One of them's about $80,000 or $90,000. One of them's about $130,000. So that's where I'm like, I don't know. Right now, I see this, it looks like we're just trying to solve the salary problem, but it pushes a lot of problems down the way. And once the salary problem gets solved, if we have to take this over at some point, it looks like we just have to spend money to transition it, because we don't have any leverage anymore, because we're footing the bill anyway. So I look at this, I want this to kind of fix all the problems at once, not just let's fix this easy one quick, and then all the other, the expensive ones down the road, we'll just figure out later. And that's just me trying to be prudent for my taxpayers, which is all of you guys too. So that's where I get a little cautious on how we do this, just because of those unforeseen expenses, the territorial disputes, the move it 30 feet, move it 2 miles, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I thought in that last meeting in December, there was going to be a feasibility study on what it would cost to actually move it. I contacted Josh. He was busy that next week, and then the holidays got in there. I talked to him this week, and he goes, well, we pretty much run the idea that supervisors weren't on board with it, so why do it? We were waiting for it to figure out what it's, that makes a lot of determining factors. Is it 1 million? Is it 2 million? I threw out 1 to 1.5 million. Your police chief kind of laughed. He said, closer to 2. That don't make me feel any better. And to bond for that, that's a big deal. So that's where I don't look at us as being inactive or disagreeable. We're trying to do due diligence, because this is a big deal. Coming up with $140,000 if we choose option A. Can you do that? Cause our budget's just as crappy. So how do we come up with 140,000?
I want to go back if I could, Josh. I mean, your first statement talked about the per capita, the way it was designed, and I've heard it time and time again that it can't be done that way. I don't know if it was ever proposed that way. I assume you've seen this, correct?
Yes.
So this is emergency management budget. It's designed and collected from each municipality, county, and cities per capita at $6.25 per capita. Now, in the code, there's a fine line what can be included in that.
Yeah.
If we add one line to that, which could be a very easy fix.
Right.
Comes up to about $35 per person for each, for everybody in the state, in the county of Jackson County. Okay, that's, when you add them two together, that's about $40, rough round numbers. $40 a person, which is about a cup of coffee a week for most people, right? So, I mean, to Fairway, I can't see the gentleman who's struggling right now with 2,000 acres. Don't know how, if he's gonna get up next week or next year and make it. I can't see him paying $400 and the next person needs to call. I mean, his grandparents, our parents, we hit a deer, playground kids, they call dispatch. The explanation to me at the state level was EMA is responsible for every person in your county. To me, so is dispatch. You know, whether it be a cat in a tree, they're calling dispatch.
What we established before is that if that were to occur, they have to be a county employees.
If we pay the
Okay,
whole bill.
but are we looking at this or attacking it in the right way?
Right.
Can we attack our legislators and say, we've done this before?
Right.
We couldn't hire assistant engineer because we weren't a joint county. Well, that code in Iowa was 50 years old. They did business with the horse and buggy. Now we have fiber to do business.
Yeah.
So we got to change in 3 weeks.
No, I guess I'm asking under EMA levy, that I think what you're saying is the cities can do this on their tax bill too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have to be county employees or can they be city employees? Because that's one issue.
Okay.
What I understand from our conversations before and the advice received from the auditor was that they have to become county employees if there was an EMA levy and it's under the guise of the county organization.
Okay, that's an agreement though, right? Just an agreement.
Well, I'm
Simple.
Well, hold up. I'm gonna try to clarify for me.
Yeah.
To me, for them to become county employees was if we passed a levy, just ourselves, and we paid the whole 100%.
Right.
So they would have to be county employees under the general supplemental budget. If each individual town can pay for their per capita via their own individual, is that what you're saying?
I am, just like the EMA.
If we can increase that and you each individual one, then I think maybe we can go back to kind of the agreement type of thing.
Or establish some case law.
Huh?
Or establish some case law.
I don't know that it's that deep, but we never tried. I mean,
Yeah.
I would personally call legislators and say, does this make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked to that District 6, and were you there at District 6? Yeah, up in Dubuque?
No,
I went to the transportation.
Okay, so this District 6 meeting was 14 counties that we belong to, District 6. So,
Right.
and I was the president of District 6. Anyway, well, we had like 12 or 14 legislators there, and we had extensive conversation about dispatch, and they took a lot of notes.
Yeah.
And I think there's real discussion going to be had.
Yeah. Well, it's part of why the option B, I mean, July 1, 2029 is 3.5 years away, 3 spring legislatures for them to do something. The only other thing I want to say about the EMA agreement is I've sent a potential agreement to John Keys's office. I'd love to have some help in developing something that's palatable to you and the other cities. Not putting them down at all, but we need help. The city's been the one paying the cost of attorneys. My time going to each of these communities and meeting. I'd like some leadership. I know it's a little bit of an ask here and it may seem forward, but if this is something that you feel is passable or can fix the issue, I think the cities can assess that, but we need some guidance. It just seems like, every time we go back to Allers and Cooney or Lynch Dallas, it's the same month and a half conversation of and I know they feel the same way, is why is Macokota contacting us over this again? This is a local issue.
I guess I didn't realize it was possible each town could pass an EMA levy to cover their portion.
I don't know that it is right now.
That-
It depends on how you read the code. The code would probably have to be, amended to the point that it would include that if that's the case. And I don't know that that's possible. I think it's absolutely possible. And I think if it makes sense, they would do it.
Right.
To me, $40 a person to cover EMA and dispatch, you're covering everybody in this county.
Now,
They're responsible for everybody.
when I talked to Josh Collister yesterday, he said that we're one of 2 counties in Iowa that do it this way.
Likely, I don't have that figure in my head.
That was something I'm gonna talk to him again tomorrow. We have a meeting. I'll figure that out, but if there's only 2 counties, let's say I take that at face value. Only 2 counties in Iowa are this way, the rest of them are paid through the county, which it does seem like a county service. I don't see the legislator thinking this is a hot button item that needs to be fixed or whatever.
But we have, I think Mike's point is corn and beans don't call 911, and my dad says the same thing, with ground that they have up at Apple Canyon Lake. I get it. So I guess, I want to find a middle ground. I want us to continue talking. I mentioned before hiring an arbitrator to sift through this and find the best solution for us. Really appreciated, Mike, your comments about, I don't think we're there yet. That was nice to hear. I mean that. But we could talk a very long time about this, and beyond the feasibility study, maybe that's part of an arbitrator contract to do it. And I don't know if you'd pass an arbitration contract by any means to work through this, but I think the other cities would. I'm speaking for them now, but we have some work to do on this, and it's not going to get solved over the next month.
Well, I just don't want to be short-sighted and come up with a salary solution, only to then be like, well, you're paying for the people
Sure.
anyway. You gotta move your stuff.
But you're 100% right, though, is why would we spend $100.5 million to move 30 feet?
Yeah.
As a taxpayer, I would go, why? I think that's our
Okay,
council
don't get
face that.
reaction on that, but-
Yeah.
Reaction on that, and that is part of, like I said, and I don't want us to be, we're not coming in and trying to take it over, like, I'm gonna use a business buyout or a business takeover type
Right.
of thing. So I don't feel like the county as a whole should eat that whole, if that is what it comes down to, that we should eat that expense, because we're not the ones coming in and saying, Josh, we want dispatch and we're taking it from you at whatever cost. We're not saying that, you're kind of asking us to come up with this, and so I don't feel that should be a county expense. If it does come down to that should be I don't think it should be ate by just us. I don't think it can maybe even be ate by just you, but somewhere along the lines, Jackson County as a whole has to come up with some type of funding for that if it gets to that point. Now, today, hearing that, we're okay with keeping it as long as we keep these 28E agreements. When I left that meeting that night, I took it as the cities were getting together to come up with a 28E agreement that they could pay that would suffice them for a few years till we took it over.
Yeah, and I would tell you, like, passing these agreements wasn't a walk in the park at Preston. What do we do with Spragueville and Bellevue's asked to pay handsomely a lot more.
I completely understand, but.
And what I want to say something here is, you've said this is a city budget issue, and it's easy for a city to look at their budgets and go, you know what, this 40, 50, 60 cents, whatever it is, let's just clear our budgets and pass it off. The end user of the services or the homeowners, the property owners, and they're the ones paying it, so speaking to them about which way would you rather have to pay for this service? Is it the levers within your control, or is it just passing 40 or 50, 60 cents down the road and making it a county issue? That argument seems to work pretty well. There's the franchise fees that we can still do, and hopefully the legislation never takes that away. There's
Franchise
ways
fees for
cities, not for you. But for cities, you know, that are paying this bill, there are things that are within their control that they can exercise to raise revenue needed as opposed to just punting it off to the 40 or 50, 60 cents. So what I'm telling you is that even when we met after the meeting as cities, I had said to them, just so that we're clear, it's our preference to keep the employees. We have that service history. I don't know if we're on the same page with that, but at least it gets us to a point and they understand too that there's some things that they can do. You know, regarding raising the revenue. Preston even asked me to start sending me some stuff that we've done as a city to help our expenses as a city, which I gave them. You know, that at least had some value to it. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to.
No, I look at this because right now, financially, everybody has their budget constraints.
Yeah.
But right now, we got the EMA Association trying to get up to a 75-cent tax per thousand passed to make EMS essential service in Jackson County, so they can generate funds, and that's a budget. They want that to go before a vote, and it's looking like they want to do it next November. So there's a lot of things going on.
And mental health.
And mental health,
Yeah,
and
I
there,
realize
you know,
there's a lot.
we're just paying for that out of our own pocket now because the state is fixing it.
Mhm.
You know, so we have a lot of things going on. I as a servant of Jackson County and all the people therein, if you go out and you talk to the people in Jackson County, 95% of them are going to assume that the county's running it. Because it's a county service, everybody can call. It isn't a Macokota service. They assume we're doing it anyway. I want to make sure, and I know there's been talk, well, if they don't pay, we just don't have to provide service type of thing. We don't want to do that. You know, we want to make sure everybody in Jackson County has it covered. So I think all have a vested interest to make sure we get the best possible solution. But, you know, if we can do an EMA levy at each individual town, or we could break it up that's one solution. I just don't want the county, because the one option was we just pay for the whole thing in one tax across the board, general supplemental levy, to be stuck paying down the road, or when this term twilight. So if we choose option B, the 50-50, the population / evaluation one, 3 years down the road, be like, well, the county gets to move it, or, you know, we stomach the whole replacement of that. And that's where I have some apprehension in signing this off, because if we do, and we pay all this, our leverage down the road drops dramatically when we kind of own it already. So that's where I think we can get there. I think we're close. I don't know.
Well, what I'm hearing is absolutely not an option A.
No. It just, again, I like to boil it down to more of a per capita, because like I say, 1,000 acres doesn't call 911. You could have 16 people in a house.
Yeah.
16 people can call 911. It is more proportionally divvied up by the people that can use it. You know, just like our rural services taxes we collect is supposed to be used for rural services. It can't be used in the city and all that. So people call 911. That's why we kind of thought population. So, and to get it nixed, you know, at least somewhat, is a little discouraging, because I don't know what evaluations change. What if we get an equalization order? What if we get this? I mean, they fluctuate a lot more. And I think it would be harder to budget on evaluation percentage than per capita. Every 10 years, we reset it. It makes sense. You know, we get equalization orders in the assessor's office. What if there's a housing crash, as they predict quite a bit coming through? Yes, ma'am.
Please say something.
Stand up and introduce yourself. And
Brown, Director for Jackson County Economic Alliance. I was the one that put together the valuation proposal. And I think that it's important that you all understand that when you try to base it on population, so, you know, you've got two Bellevue representatives here that, you know, it increases Bellevue because their population is a little bit higher in proportion. But what it does to that 2,000 acre farm is the number Bellevue pays is higher overall. It has to go back based on valuation. That 2,000 acre farm in Bellevue will pay more than that 2,000 acre farm in Macokota. That there isn't any way to translate population based so that every single person that 2,000 acre farm that only has 2 people would pay the same or would pay less than that $200,000 house that has 6 people. There just isn't a way to do it. That's just the way that our property tax system works. And that's why when we went to off evaluation, because the other part of 911 is that it's property, right? That you're calling the fire department because you have a house that's on fire or car accident, whatever it is. Now your $500,000 house is worth a lot more, and that fire department that's going to save them, they paid more because the valuation of what they're trying to save is more. So, I mean, it's just a different way of looking at it, but they're just, I get it. We do the EMA and we do $40 per person. Well, Bellevue that's paying $40 per 2,500 people, it still is an amount, total amount, say that equates to $100,000. I'm making this up. $100,000 goes on taxes. It equates to a tax rate, and that goes against every single house based off of their valuation. You just can't get away from valuation. So every single time you go off population, you're still skewing it to the house that is valued more than a house that is valued less.
But to me, it's more specific to that community than just evaluations across the board.
I get that. I'm just trying to explain that why I think ultimately what you're trying to accomplish.
It's impossible. I said that beginning.
Right.
It always ends up on your property taxes, period, end of story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we got to send every house a bill.
Right. So
And we're
every
not going to
$1 million
do that.
house
So it will end up,
Yep.
but when you look at population and you divvy up, this is a percentage of population. So let's say Macokota, I just remember that, or Jackson County was 50% of the population, if I remember right. We get 50% of the bill. Macokota was 30% of the population. They get 30% of the bill. Then they take it to their community and they divvy it up and it goes on their house taxes, or their property taxes. But it's more, to me, it's more specific for that community.
But the tax impact for the taxpayer will always not necessarily be fair. Because now being a Bellevue taxpayer, I'm paying more just because there's more people overall. And it doesn't matter. And the valuation of my house then makes me compensate for the rest of it. I mean, there's just 2 different ways of looking at it is all, and it's how you explain it.
Yeah.
Overall to all your taxpayers. But when you try to divide like off of valuation, you truly are giving everybody in the county the benefit of paying the same, and they aren't being penalized because of where they live.
Let's,
Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Even if we got back to per capita with the other cities, we're focused on option B. Could you pass something? Is this something that we need to put into the hands of consultant to tell us where we need to be? We work on a lot together. We have a parking lot that's having yellow stripes come up again. It'd be nice to inch mill and fill something like that and restripe it next summer. There's a lot that we do together that's good. And to continue on this thing that just can't go away.
Well, I think one thing in this agreement that we could do is put in verbiage that if the center transitions to the county, there will be further negotiations to how that's paid for, versus just not talking about it.
Right.
And then that gives a natural assumption. We get it, because again, and we're arguing over the same people. It's just, you got your little group, we got all the group of people in Jackson County is, again, it works great where it is. I think it'll work great there for decades to come after we're gone, just like it's been there for decades before when it got put there. I think the county, we looked it up, we sold that land to you for $1. So to help make it a possibility, and I was in like 5th grade, I think, or something. So it's been working very well. I just think there's some sensitivity, as there always will be sensitivity over property taxes. Bellevue has it, Macokota has it, Preston, Sebula, Miles, Spragueville, Jackson County. We're all hurting right now, and we're all scared to death what's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 months because the state says they're going to fix it, even though they admit fully and openly in our ISAC meeting that, what we did a few years ago, that didn't work. Oops, we're sorry. Because it cost us about $180,000. So I told them flat out, I'm scared to death. And that was even quoted in the paper, if I'm not mistaken, because their fix last time cost us almost 200 grand. We can't afford another fix like that. You know, so I don't know what they're gonna do, and most of them have never had any budgeting experience outside what the lobbyists and their helpers tell them out there in the state, and they assume what they're hearing is correct. You know, they've never sat in the trenches down here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to see the ramifications. So I get scared to death when they say they're gonna fix it. It goes back to mental health. They fixed it. It was a month ago, we finally heard from our DAP, our Disability Access Point Coordinator, from our whoever in Des Moines that took over July 1st. But we've supposedly been getting services since July 1st, but we just got the agreement, what, a month ago? That they're gonna kind of figure it out from here, but that's 6 months, our people had nobody if we wouldn't have hired Renee. You know, and that's $120,000 that we had to swallow, so we all have budget constraints. I think there's a solution here. The per capita per evaluation is a lot closer. It's still, I would tell you as a county, that it doesn't taste great. Because it's still $90,000 increase for us.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about the status of Maquoketa's budget. First year since I've been here, where we're predicted to lose some. Preston's general fund reserves, I'm told, are around 10% on a good day. And Bellevue's is around 20-25%, I'm told. Some of these things are becoming outcomes because of the state.
Mhm.
These fights or discussions are another byproduct. I want to, maybe the last talking point, and it was a pretty big one during our meeting in November, was small cities, non-law enforcement communities. They lost some value in this new round of years. There's a couple out there. You know, some of these communities can't pay the mayor's associations their $25 dues per year. If we're having a per capita conversation, we're still back to how do you expect us to get an agreement with them?
Mhm.
And I think what I've heard from a couple of you is, okay, but if we're somehow putting this in the general service levy elsewhere, whether it's even just a couple pennies here and there on a general services levy, what are you going to do to lower taxes? And I think there's a small solution for that with the city inside their employee benefits levy. I can't speak for the other cities. But a barrier to this agreement is what do you do with these other communities that have a difficult time meeting?
That came up with if the county swallows the whole 606. Or it becomes a lot more pertinent, because again, if we're taxing for the whole amount. And you currently are taxing each individual community. And we decide to take that expense over and we tax for it, everybody in Jackson County. I, as a citizen of Maquoketa, not as a Jackson County supervisor, would expect my city taxes to drop the amount that you're paying in the city budget. Because if the county is going to then tax to pay that, this expense wouldn't exist over here. In the city, your contribution was just like ours, $265,000, roughly speaking. There should be a reciprocal or equivalent decrease in the city side because the county's taking over an expense. I don't know, is that possible? Because I don't want that not to go away. And we pass this, we look like the jackwagons that raise taxes, and you guys just reappropriate, cover shortfalls. Because then it looks like you're pushing budget problems onto us. And we got enough of our own. Our table is full of budget problems, just like everybody else's. So, but I don't know if us just taking it over right now in a one tax levy seems to be a viable option. You know, looking at these, we're going to have to discuss to see, because one of the ideas I threw out this week is, what if we just take it all over and we issue out things to all the towns, you know? But I don't know right now.
But then again, you still have to have some agreement on the fees it's gonna cost for us to take it all over. You
Right.
know, there's more than just the salaries being paid
Right.
if the county takes it over. And
You know, we're looking at all avenues. In the short term, if there's a solution, I think one of them would be that we include language where, and I don't know if it could be an addendum or a second thing, a separate, so we did, you know, where it talks about if the transition of the equipment and the whole facility needs to come to the county, that has to be a negotiable thing. I don't know how we word that, because again, if we don't address that in some manner or fashion, the county, we can't afford to take on a $2 million thing. We just don't got reserves like that, you know? But we'll have to really see, because again, we're all getting down, you'd like to know beforehand. We haven't got the point, we're just not collected our numbers to know where we're sitting with each individual thing. I mean, there's some just significant increases in certain budgets and all that stuff that we have to filter through, because we got to get our knife out. You know, so we don't know where we stand. You guys have a projected, we don't have that yet. We're still getting there. So for us to say we can come up with an extra, let's say 90,000 or 80,000, we can kind of put it in the number, but again, that's up to you guys to see what we would do. I mean, I do want Macoka protected. I want Jackson County citizens protected the most. We need to make sure we guarantee services and stability. And to the small communities that ought not to play, understand that this is the community that kicked this off. I'll throw shade a little bit if I have to. They haven't been to any meeting since the first one. And then the one that kicked it off more, they came to the one in December. So there's big ramifications. We need to all be at the table, and we all need to have some ownership in it, because one way or the other, you have to have 911 services. You have to have dispatch services.
I just want to go back to the point, of this has been going on for a long time. What are we trying to fix? It all come about when Sibylla was paying too much and Bellevue wasn't paying enough. That's where it all come about. So let's fix it. So if Kelly, you're telling me that this EMA levy to each city is being paid by the city. So they levy for it in their budget to be paid.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I don't know anyone that wouldn't pay $33 more each person in their house to have the services that they need.
But I'm saying that it doesn't equate to $33 more. It equates to a lump sum that is
The
divided.
lump sum comes from the city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like EMAs.
That's not allowable by code now, just so I understand that. That's what you said. It'd be nice to have Keys' office tell us, do this. I really mean that.
Yeah, we can't, I don't know if we can operate on hypotheticals. We can get
Yeah.
it fixed and change it in the future, but
But we've spent money on this. Dallas. I'm willing to go back to the cities and talk about per capita and employees. I take this back, but you still have the small cities problem. EMA sounds like a great proposal too, but we need something drawn up from your end.
yeah. I don't,
We're at a point within the month, we have to send out our letters, and it sounds like that's gonna happen. That is
I
unavoidable.
don't think you
but
could not, I mean,
Right.
because we're
Yeah.
not. Definitely not at that point where the world's gonna change in the next
Yeah.
month here.
that all sets the maxes. Your letter sets the max, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would be your contribution for the next budget year. Yeah.
No, when you're talking about your form comes out after your public hearing, and the public hearing is where you set the max taxable.
Different things.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
talking about billing the cities for their portion.
We're talking
Like
like
we've done, yeah. Like we've done,
Yeah.
they've done for the past
Oh,
20.
That's what I'm gonna go back to. What are we trying to fix?
Get an
It's
agreement.
still working.
Get an agreement.
well, they want it on paper.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, it's never been on paper that we can find. We've been working on it for a long time.
We don't know where.
So where are we at now? Anybody else in the
Like-
back want to talk?
I do like Josh's point, sorry, of. I think we need to set up regular. Meetings as we. Find things and can move forward so that we're not sitting here next year at budget time going. We haven't gone anywhere yet and we're still talking whether we want per capita or per evaluation or per EMA or, I'm a little anxious to see if legislation does do anything. But again, we can't constantly sit around and wait for them because we all know how they move. Slow as a snail and then all of a sudden they ram something through, so.
So right now, for the way I gather with this agreement here, the quickest approach, we decide whether we can ballot this agreement and the option A or B. Because every other city that's on here that's gonna contribute to it has already signed it.
That's correct, with the understanding that you do either, you could do nothing, but it was a
Right.
show of we've come to an agreement on
Yeah.
what could be possible.
But on this form right here, the one thing, again, that scares me, we need to rectify is option per capita only. It talks about transfers dispatched July 1st of 29. The per capita valuation doesn't say it, but the per capita per valuation, which to me would be the most palatable on a not tasty sandwich that we're trying to swallow here. It still transfers July 1st of 2029.
Perhaps that could be up to negotiation.
You know, so that's where so that right now, I think we're at, first of all, we need to answer as supervisors, have a work session figured out. Is there something close in this agreement that we can pallet? Because that would give us the quickest resolution if we so choose to resolve, or do we come up with a substitute or another option?
This is a complete new board though, correct? I mean, we got communications
Yeah.
board, we can't, communications board bylaws, we can't find, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
the advisory board, I
They
think
go
is the
away,
one that would
Or
super.
sometime in the future, they come back up again and on us.
Totally replaces it.
Yeah,
Because you already have a 42% to the county and 42% to the city. So that's 84%. You have 16% missing. What happens if the other entities renegotiate the 16%?
That's what the point of the agreement is to get them on paper to
I mean,
commit to something.
if Bellevue is not enough and Seville is too high, why can't we reallocate the 16%?
Yeah, that's written consent on them, and I have a tough time believing they come to an agreement without the whole bigger picture solved, just like you all are saying here.
So you have a hard time believing that, but the point was they've never given that option to say, Macocota, District 1, I mean, we all operate in districts. So Macocota is District 1, has the same population as District 2 and District 3. So take all the municipalities and the city of Macocota and the county, rest of the county divided by 3. Are we not about the same? Like you said, 42, and divvy up to 16%. I don't know. I'm actually, every more time I read it, I get more confused. I apologize.
This is perhaps why your county attorney office should develop an
Yeah.
agreement. Maybe
Yeah,
work through that.
I somewhat would agree to that point. You know,
We'll send her letters. Well, we've gained quite a
honestly,
bit.
I have to get more involved with the legislature and say, hey, where are we going here?
Well, what we've gained here is we're gonna send letters out. That's good. I'd really like this explored, what you're talking about through the county attorney's office. And if you give me some clear direction, have a work session outside of cities and tell me what exactly would settle this and get it done with the cities, maybe we can talk again about that, and then maintaining a service, which the city has done for a long time. O-Line and Buchanan County, I think it's Buchanan County. They did this switch over to county employees. It didn't. I'm not sure it's Buchanan County, sorry. They did this switch and it went horribly, and then O-Line had to take it back. You know, there's a whole bunch of transactional risk here, and if I was you guys or voting for it, I'd want to keep it as city employees, but
if we pay proportionally, I have a lot more palate for that. If we're paying the whole freight, I am not gonna buy a car and give it to you and let you drive it, and I have to put gas in it, and I have to maintain it, and I have to fix the tires, and you get the joy of driving the car.
be a good deal for us.
Yeah, it would be, but it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? So if we have to foot the whole bill, then we gotta talk transitions and all that kind of stuff. If we're paying a fair proportion, equitable proportion, I think that becomes a lot more palatable.
So I'm gonna ask, I see we have a few representatives from cities here, either council members or city clerks and such. Is there any comments from the gallery?
Just come to digest everything.
I'd like some input. That's what I'd like.
Yeah,
I mean, here we are with emergency management. This is how it's allocated. You know, can we add dispatch to emergency management? What takes care, you know, like I said, when at the state level, whenever I've been out there 8 years ago, it was explained to me that emergency management is responsible for every person in your county. Somehow I feel the same way about dispatch.
And that's the only way, if you're gonna do the levy, it has to be county employees, because that's. the
And
only
I
way-
don't
That's
care.
the way we can do it through a levy,
Yeah.
through my office, through the code.
I don't care that it's levied at per valuation or per thousand or whatever it is. As Kelly stated, the point is everybody's paying equally, whether it be population of each municipality, the county, or what, you know, whether you have, everybody uses dispatch. I don't care if you have an EMS service or if you have fire or ambulance or what you have. You use it, everybody uses it. I don't know the answer. I just.
Yeah.
From what I gather, a per capita is not fair and evaluation is not fair.
That's what your assessment is?
That's what we're fighting over.
I guess one question for you, Lynn, to find out is for the EMA there, you give up that's for each fifth. Can you add enough to get dispatch under that? Can you
As
increase
the
those?
current code says, you don't know that.
As the code sits right now, could you add dispatch to those numbers?
What's he got in front of him? Is that
So
That's
this is your budget,
What you
Yeah.
submitted for budget?
okay?
2,000?
So the point is, it comes up to $6 and bottom line comes up to $6.25 per person. So could you put at $38 per person, we take over dispatch, it's all collected through you. You take
Well,
up $38 per
yeah,
person,
that's-
which is a cup of coffee for a week for somebody.
Where are you buying coffee at?
Well, I don't buy it. One, if you go in to buy one, it'll cost you $9 $2. I don't know.
That would be a question for you. Could you find out, could we just add the dispatch expense to that, divide it out?
And send the bill to the cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same as what you're doing here.
Right, and honestly, just as Josh says, when are they gonna revoke or not paying the bill?
What do you mean revoked? It's taxed.
Well,
The city-
not when
city's
you
budget.
tax, yes, if you tax for it,
That's
yes,
an
you can.
ask.
That's an asking if you're gonna do that,
They're not obligated.
yeah,
They're not obligated to pay that?
it's just a.
By code, emergency management, they are, correct?
It's a tough,
I-
it's a fine line,
Yeah, go
there's
ahead.
99 counties out there and there's 99 ways, like,
I would seek for the county attorney's
Yeah.
office to get involved with this question and also have the interest in keeping them as city employees under this approach. My ask of you is that
In
you kind
perpetuity.
fine. Seriously,
With
you
the
know,
per-
talking
Under
to
the
them-
percentages and stuff, I'm more apt to agree with not not making waves anymore we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
You know.
it would be a simple fix, it really did.
I talked to the mayor, former dispatcher, right? You know, regionalization, he goes, whoa. He goes, I don't even know what that means. You know, if I have to start dispatching in another county or, you know, someone has to come to us and gets South Niagara Street versus, it just not
And
only
they talked
that.
about that, and that got brought up to me, what do you think about that? If, supposedly Dubuque County has room or
Yeah.
Buchanan County has room and.
Actually, good approach.
I know you have, and so have we,
And
but
I'm like, coming from EMS.
Yeah.
It scares the shit out of me.
yeah,
Don't smoke.
Pardon.
not to mention our radio towers run on Essex and they run on Sarah or something.
Yeah.
You think your budget
we got-
problems are bad now, just wait till you're replacing radio towers.
And not crossing over and not patching through, right? But I mean, we all know when you bring in a new dispatcher and they're not from this area, even if they're from the other side of Grand Mound and they don't frequent this way, you're looking at them in an emergency situation. I mean, thank God cell phones now help a little bit and with some of the software that's out there that can direct you a little bit, but you're still looking at, is this north of town or west of town? Or, you get an issue like 17th Street, everybody think, oh, I throw that up because I live on it. I know where 17th Street is where I live, but it's also out by Monmouth, it's down by Preston Miles. Where are we truly going? Or they're dispatching us and they should be dispatching Preston. And so, yeah, you get throwing that out there where it's up in Buchanan County or wherever, and you got a mess. So.
So what will, go ahead.
So everybody, you're right, everybody does use the service. But when you have to hire people, that's not a 2-week training course.
No.
That's like 6 months. And
And the first time they
That's
get
in
some,
anything though.
But the
That's
person.
just about in anything. I mean, I don't care what kind of job you're in, you learn your profession as you go.
So this is where I think we're,
It's different than flipping hamburgers at McDonald's.
Right.
this is where I think we're at. I would like you and you to get that, because I think you had some question on the numbers and the percentages, how A and B game to C and all that kind of stuff. Figure out the numbers and agree and they're okay and all that stuff. Lynn, you see if we can add it to that.
Well, we need to talk to county attorney.
Again, that's what I mean, figure it out. And we need to look at this agreement that's already been signed by all applicable players by us and see how palatable that is. Am I missing anything?
I want to clarify. Do you want me to see if we can add it to the EMA as a levy or as a per capita and send them a bill? Two different things here.
One, either or.
Either or.
Either or.
Okay.
Yeah. So. I apologize. Cheryl, I'm not gonna pick you out, but I am gonna pick you out. Just because you're city clerk and president and you voted for this, did you understand all the ramifications that just got brought up here today?
I do know that there needs to be an agreement, and I like Don's perspective on the option B, go 50-50 valuation and then negotiate future. I mean, I think that's a good solution for now. I have question on whether or not we have to figure out if code will allow Lynn to bill us and then we can levy for it. Well, that's gonna increase tax.
So
Yeah.
code can be changed, and either way, taxes are gonna be increased somehow.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna pay for that. It's gonna level out somewhere. Somebody's gonna pay. They're paying for it now. Whether somebody's paying too much or somebody's paying not enough, they're paying for it now. I apologize if you're not paying enough. But the point is, it's gonna be paid. I don't wanna raise your taxes. I don't.
You have to be careful if you want somebody to be reimbursed,
Right.
because that's a double tax then.
Did you get all that, Brittany?
I don't
So-
want to rule
I mean, kind of.
population paying for small cities that are paying for the service also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it comes from a certain fund, then the rural people are paying for all the services small cities are getting that don't have a police force.
At some point, you gotta wonder how long these small cities can maintain small city status because of the fact that it's just getting more expensive and more expensive and more expensive to do
Right.
almost nothing.
The, can we get a county work session in the next month and return to us or so? Is that an unreasonable time?
Like I say, you and Lisa communicate, Lynn.
Okay, so that you want Lisa and I to work
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, well, I want you guys to do that. Lynn, you can check on the, whether it's an ask or evaluation, whether that's possible.
We have some information
Right.
at the time of the work
And then we
session.
need to look at that evaluation or this agreement that's already been signed and see where we got. We can get those answers. If it can be added to the ask and everybody agrees to play along, outstanding. That squeezes the small communities. We figure out, make sure the numbers jive and all that stuff, then maybe we can make a decision in 2 or 3 weeks and see where we're at. But it depends on how fast we get the information.
I don't think this stops us from sending the budget letters out, though.
No.
2 or 3 weeks. is
We have the
wishful thinking.
responsibility to talk to our county attorney too and say, here, what can we do here?
Right.
This, I mean, there's some of things in this agreement I have underlined and say, hey, what? I'm not gonna go through every page here.
Only two
Questions
cities,
are probably
only,
simple answers,
only
but-
2 cities in Iowa have unincorporated successfully since the property tax code change. Because counties can object to a little city pleading to unincorporate. Fun fact for the day. I looked up that point of data to ask.
What's that do for me?
Well, it's
Towns can't unincorporate.
Don't care about anybody else, yeah.
So,
well, you have rights to, state why is Green Island incorporated?
No,
Isn't it?
I don't think so.
No.
I think Green Island's
I think it was 1980, I think it was 1985, to disincorporate Green Island.
Bad example.
First, as an- but you take Baldwin as an example, that's
Yep.
99 people. They have a valuation of overall, the whole town is 2.8 million.
And their value went down this year.
So I mean, how do they sustain?
Yep.
You know, the fluctuation of the rollbacks where they used to be within this and this, now they've deviated way beyond what their parameters were. How do you prepare for that? How do you budget for that? When, you know, they come up with an abstract, I don't know, throw a dart at the wall and see where it sticks. Oh, the floor. Yeah, we'll take, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's what we tried to press at the ISAC meeting. And we'll press it when we go to state, and they say they know what they're doing and they'll fix it. But that's what they said last time and the time before that, and unfunded mandates and blah, 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 blah. And here we sit and we're paying for a lot of stuff we don't normally have to pay for. And we did express with the whole property tax bill that we got to send out before we can finalize our budget that cost us roughly 20 grand or something.
What a
That,
waste of money.
yeah, but they were like, nobody can read it. Every time I read it, it goes, my taxes are going down. I'm like, no, they're not. They're going up. And it looks like they're going down. It's like, well, they're not, you know? So it's completely misleading and all that. And that's all stuff we get from the higher offices until we get people up there that maybe understand the system a little better and all that stuff. It's just more crap we're gonna eat. But I think if we get these three things ironed out, we'll get a lot closer to come up with a solution.
I do want to reiterate that we do want to be good neighbors, and we do want to be, because we are good neighbors and we have been.
Well, one of
And
the
it's
options
a
are-
working relationship. It just have to. And there's gotta be some common sense, and it's gotta work for everybody. I don't know how we do that. Somebody should be smart enough to tell me how to do that.
Well, your county attorney thinks we can get it done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can. Anything else for the good of the meeting, of our work, our discussion?
Yeah.
Are you two clear on what you're gonna talk about?
Think so.
Make sure the numbers match. Lynn, are you good? We can talk about us and we can talk to our county attorney, and let's try to set a date for 3 weeks. 3 weeks from now, we can have another be on the agenda, see what we got. When you figure out your information, pass it along beforehand. Don't show up at the meeting with the information and expect us to make hallelujah decisions, because it's good to digest it beforehand.
Again, I don't know how that formula come up, but as far as the evaluation.
That's where I want them
For
to
the
crunch
first
the numbers.
week in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's.
What did it went up, the levy ask went up a dime last year for the city of Macokota on the bills that we were passing along, and we had questions about why that was, and we asked Lynn, but I mean, our view of it is it's a requirement and we're gonna pay it.
Well, that's what I said. I don't know anybody's gonna argue that if somebody told me I had to pay $80, you know, for me and my wife, $80 a year for all the services. Well, fine, okay.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the way it's calculated out.
When I called 911, I wanted to go somewhere.
Cool.
Any other input? I'd like to hear input from the gallery.
You guys are doing phenomenal with your meeting efficiency. It's only 10:30 still.
We got a lot of work to do yet.
Yeah, we're still actually in the meeting, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that 16%, you know, kind of just roughly even, I just went off of Exhibit A on this deal, you know. Bellevue stayed at the 9.2 that was there, the 4.6. You got 2.72, that would be like Sebula. Well, if you divided what the difference from their 1.16, you know, give everybody an extra 0.2%. For them three, that would get that 16% from where we're at now. You know,
My point exactly.
It sounds simple.
I mean, if.
I guess I understand your point, trying to save the city. $100
Then
and
renegotiate and sign the agreement.
I understand Don's point. If you did, are you gonna pass that along, or are you gonna use it for once?
I think we go back to the drawing board with the three guys, girls, ladies.
All right, what do we got going
That
on?
conversation for the public?
Nope.
All right. Anything more on dispatch that we need to talk about?
Yes. If the meeting is on the 27th, we've got Green Island that day, so.
we said
Third.
Let's do the third.
the first week
Third
of
of
February.
Okay, that'll do, thank you.
Anything else?
We're good.
All right, we gotta finish the meeting. Y'all can go.
Thank you.
I want to thank
Appreciate
you
it.
guys all for coming.
You can
to the
stay
meeting.
too if you want.
Yeah, you're citizens, you can stay, but
Have a good day.
all right. Boards and commissions.
It's all the same numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put.
Make those on small paper.
The sheets
Hold
are
up.
big.
Try to get here.
All right, there's no boards or commissions.
I have none.
Anything else for the good of the meeting? We're still in a meeting.
Just hang on.
We'll take a temporary recess. All right, we'll go ahead and reconvene at this time.
Okay, if there's no further business, I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
I would second that.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Nick to adjourn the meeting. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Have a good day. We appreciate your watching. Have a good day.